Good evening. I'd like to call the School District of Sturgeon Bay regular board meeting of education for Wednesday, April 16, 2025 to order. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Ms. Dees, could we have a roll call, please?
Correct. Commissioner Meyer? Here. Commissioner Haas? Here. Commissioner Chisholm? Here. Commissioner Jenner-Jones? Here. Commissioner Stefani?
Here.
Commissioner Cruz? Here. Commissioner Howard?
Here.
Commissioner Schultz?
Here.
And Commissioner Sprague.
Here. Roll call. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda in front of you, noting going into closed session?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda. Noting that we will be going into closed session for Wisconsin State Section 1985(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. We will review of staff evaluations for nomination of 2025 Herbie Hauser Award. Action may take place in closed session on closed session topics, and then we will return open session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And that was Commissioner Hawes, a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good, motion carried. Student council report is next. We have Izzy here. Hello.
And a guest that we're going to,
Yeah.
some of you know, we'll meet Lauren tonight too. Hi Izzy, what do you got for us? And congratulations on the soccer win last night.
Thank you. That was the first one of the season, so that was really fun. So we have our Six Flags coming up, Six Flags trip on May 16th with FBLA, calculus, and physics. So that's really exciting. We're just getting the dates down for that. Then we have Teacher Appreciation Week, which is May 5th through May 9th. And for that, we will be bringing baked goods in every day for the teachers. That was my fun. Thank you. Thank you. Those are my parents. But then we will also bring messages to the teachers from like surveys that we're gonna send out just for like some extra appreciation, and then we'll give them lunch as well. And then we will decorate a banner in alumni hall and sidewalks with chalk. So like just for some extra like thank yous. And then we're also planning a kickball tournament combined with like a spring fling, which is new on May 22nd. We'll have a tournament for the kickball during Clipper time, and then the class winner will play the teachers. And spring fling will be outside. It's just gonna be signing yearbooks, like a tailgate sort of thing. And then in our next meeting, we will discuss the homecoming theme. And then I think the most exciting news is that we have our new officers. So our new co-presidents are Lauren and then Maya, who could not make it to this meeting. And then our secretary is Brianna Bargains, and then this new position, which is social media, will be Lexi Lenius. Yeah. It's been exciting.
Did you tell Lauren about the speech she has to give tonight, or is that?
I figured that she would make it up on the fly.
She could, with her youth and government and other experience, right, Lauren?
I can try.
That's right. So at this point in the year, Izzy, and then we'll hear just a little bit from Lauren and for fun, okay? So Izzy, as you look ahead to next year homecoming, you're not gonna be here.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Yeah. That's true. We haven't had graduation yet.
I need to get that credit signed, actually. But
I signed one just for someone the other day, and it's not the young lady that lives at my house, for the record. But. So what's the latest on the future or next year for you?
Well, I'm committed to Madison. I'll be going there in the fall for pre-business. I'm looking at economics, but I'm staying pretty open. I really want to get my certificate in like international business. and that'd be really exciting, but I'm just trying to stay pretty open. Then, but like I have a roommate, just getting all the details now, housing, but I'm
Exciting time, right? Exciting time, as many adults in here probably can remember going way back. Excellent. So we'll have a chance to see Lauren many more times.
Yes.
Let's see, Lauren, you also serve as one of the YMCA board youth representatives, right? So you and I have sat together in meetings for that, and you're involved in many things that the board will get a chance to hear about over the coming year. Sometimes that you have planned, and sometimes because I'll just ask you, but you know me, so it'll be fine.
Okay.
So just for fun, though, you also have some future plans, even though, you know, senior year is ahead next year. Usually the board and certainly other visitors like hearing about it, but as you look to the future, you have a plan also. Do you want to just share a little snippet about what that is?
Yeah, sure. So it's a little premature, but I toured it this a few months ago, but
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to attending the University of Alabama. I just fell in love with the campus and I really fit in there. I'm planning on going for political science on a pre-law track. I'm involved in youth and government and mock trial, and it's my passion in life. And I just feel like I could do a lot with the political science degree. And then also with Alabama, you can get your bachelor's degree and your law degree within 6 years. They have a program there. So I'm planning on getting my law degree as well.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And I could say, as some of us were talking ahead of the meeting, that I wore it specifically for Lauren. I didn't, but we could say it for you, that this is my NATO sport coat, right? University of Alabama men's basketball coat, where it's jackets just like this. So we'll, for now, we'll say I wore it for you, Lauren, all right?
Thank you.
And importantly too, your parents are okay with they enjoyed the visit as well,
Yeah,
right?
they don't like the distance.
Yeah.
But they like the visit, so yeah, that'll be fun. But my dad said he won't wear anything Crimson Tide, so I don't know.
He'll come.
Yeah, you better change.
He'll come along as parents around the table, and we'll probably can identify with, right?
Too early to ask, maybe, but what area of law do you hope to practice in?
I'm not sure yet. There's just so many opportunities within law that I feel like I really just have to just see how I fit in there. Yeah.
Good for you, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Before we get ready to wrap this part of it up, does anyone have a question for Izzy or for Lauren from the board level for now?
I'm just gonna give this to Izzy a little
Oh,
thank
yes.
you for participating and coming and giving us a monthly report. Yes.
Thank you, that's so nice, that's so nice.
You enjoy it. I really enjoy it since I have a son and usually you tell me what's happening.
I'm not gonna say Ashton doesn't tell mom what's happening, but yeah, again, as parents, we can appreciate that. So yeah, Izzy,
Thank you.
we've enjoyed your visits and we hope you have a wonderful next month and a half here. And many of the board members, I know a couple have stuff going on, but most of them will get a chance to congratulate you personally and shake your hand coming across, you know, the stage of graduation, provided you get your FIA credit
Right.
turned in properly. Yes.
And your volunteer hours and pay your lunch dues. Your lunch account,
Yeah, I do probably
Turn in
that.
your library books.
I'm gonna that, it's the fees, actually. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Don't stress her out.
That's what I'll go home then.
Remembering.
And probably all your unserved attentions. 'cause it's such a good- I know Lauren's already working on it. but If nothing else, maybe just touch base in the office tomorrow.
Yeah, I probably will.
That's right. And I probably should have clarified, just so everyone knows, Lauren is also on the girls soccer team that had the win last night. I mentioned Izzy as we turn it over to her, but Lauren was present as well.
Yeah, I did so much for the team.
Yeah, well,
So
Yeah.
much.
Morale.
as did Gabs and a couple others, but supporting the group, right, with the 2-0 victory they had last night. Cool. Awesome. Otherwise, as always, ladies, while you're welcome to stay, you're involved in a lot of things and studying, and you certainly can feel free to head out. And probably Lauren, between the two of us, we need to remind Maya, since she was not here. And for those who don't know, Maya is a very good baker. I may have planted the seed already last night after soccer that she probably needs to bake sometime soon. She didn't disagree with me. And I said, I don't know about cookies or cupcakes or perhaps both. And she was open to it. So
Okay.
feel free to say that as a part of this meeting record, she's now going to have to bring some.
I'll remind her.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. You're welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Kathy.
Next, we're down to the public comment section as noted in board policy 0167.3. Public comment at board meetings, individuals who wish to address the board should be residents of the school district of Sturgeon Bay or parents of students who are open enrolled into the district. Speakers are asked to share their name, address, and be aware that comments may be limited to 3 minutes. And that's I will actually time things, and at 2 minutes, I raise my hand just to let you know you have another minute. So do we have anybody that wants to address the board? Anyone? I read all that. Somebody should address the board. No? Okay. All right, good, good. Then we are down to, recognition. Board member recognition.
Yes, we have two board members mentioned here on our agenda, Beth Chisholm and Tina Jennerjohn. We want to recognize in just a moment before President Stefani that we get into that and ask them to come up for a couple pictures for Facebook and have some things to give them. I could maybe also point out that the WASB, right, Wisconsin Association of School Boards, as the board would know, but for anyone in the public, has a recognition program, and we're hitting on some different things here. But actually, Mike Stefani also got his level 1 recognition, which came in. You and I haven't even talked about that. So I'll just shake your hand. I'll give you your. That's right. Someday, perhaps, as we're going to recognize Beth here next, who got some level 2 recognition as well as local recognition. So maybe if we could have Mike and Beth come up to the podium here. Then I'll get the picture.
Yes.
So Beth Chisholm, Commissioner Chisholm, as we sometimes talk officially with their positions, you've been on the school board for a while. Do you recall exactly how long?
9 years.
9 years is correct. So you already win your own trivia. So first of all, we have the WASB level 2 recognition. And then as is the tradition here, when we've had individuals serve as board members and then eventually time off after their service to spend more time with other things, we have a plaque. So I'm going to read this, kind of updating our old tradition as we move forward with this kind of plaque tradition for the future. And this says, presented to Beth Chisholm in recognition of 9 years of dedicated service to the students and families of the school district of Sturgeon Bay, presented by our Board of Education in April of 2025. So let's give her a round of applause. Before I take your picture, is there no speech necessary, but as you look back at the last 9 years, as well as having kids come through the system and someone who's involved in the community, the county and everything, anything just cross your mind as something either being positive or memorable? I'm just curious.
I've been on boards for 26 years, I think, nonstop, between my kids' preschool and parochial education and now public education, and I've loved that. I'm proud of what we did during COVID. I just love this board.
Awesome. Let's give her another round of applause. Here. That's right. Wanted a couple of angles, so
Get the
Spencer has
angles.
something to work with. Awesome.
And I love your jacket.
Thank you very much. Yes. That's right. Then we also have some recognition. Vice President Jennerjohn, can we have you come on down? So for fun, Tina, about how long have you been on the school board?
20+ years.
Yeah, 20 plus years is right. So we have a special plaque of recognition, again, from the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. It says the special recognition of service to Wisconsin public school students is awarded to Tina Jennerjohn for 20 years of service on our school board here in Sturgeon Bay. So doing the math on how that goes back and starts, right? You think back, plus I have my cheat sheet for Mrs. Demise, just in case my math struggled. But so looks like you started, were you first appointed in November of 2004?
I was. And my oldest child was a senior that year. And now my oldest grandchildren are in 4th grade, so it's been a long stretch. I've seen lots of things.
You have. And I think you've thought a time or two about, do I continue on the board or not? As right, kids and grandkids and all those types of things, but you continue to serve. And I know board members have talked about how, look, we need people on the board, right? Not just maybe when they're of the age that they have kids in school, but when we think of our community, Sturgeon Bay, Door County, folks that are, grandparents as well, and that part of the demographic we want to make sure is represented.
I still feel like I'm a grandparent.
You don't
No.
look.
For sure.
No.
And as we, some of us can just a quick little smile as we looked at like the last capital referendum and even a few years leading up to that, right? To make sure we looked at all possible options. Tina, what was a big thing for you that was, again, in the end, we knew was not affordable, but what was a big thing for you? And I will always think of this.
One campus school
Yeah.
to have the other elementary schools closed and we built something here so that we're all in one campus.
And all a one-stop shop, so to speak, which we
I
know.
tried.
Yeah, well, right. And then they ran the numbers on the type of
Yeah.
cost in this day and age and right, our board, of course, at that time. was
Right
like,
after that COVID hit, so we were good, just we were lucky we got our referendum passed when we did.
Yeah, well, again, you're certainly one of the board members that was on the board when I was hired, so obviously appreciated board at that time and all of our board members since, and 20 years of service is really, especially in this day and age where sometimes, especially a few years ago, public service was not very fun, right? People weren't thanking us for the most part. A lot of thanks came later because we figured it out, right? But Tina stuck it out and continued on the board again throughout that. So 20 years of service, pretty awesome. Let's give her a round of applause. Good. Yeah, if you want to slide up her picture. You can come close, she won't yell at you. Hold on, you want to get right in there? Where you got it? Yes. Hold on, right here, Mike. Focus there, right? You got it? All right, let's thank Tina again.
Just take a quick intermission for a couple of minutes so that Tina can get a couple of pictures with family members. So if everybody's good with that, we'll be right back.
We go. Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
He's the only one listening.
Hold on just a
Like you.
second. Yep.
Hello, and we're back.
Live.
Live.
Thanks for the bunch.
Here we are. We are now down to the consent agenda, and the consent agenda consists of the following. Approve the meeting minutes of the regular meeting of March 19th, 2025, and the learning session meeting of April 2nd, 2025. Approve March bills, which are in your packet. Accept grants and donations. We have the Robert Nickel Auditorium donations, which are the following: $100 from Julie Schroeder, $50 from Wes and Linda Michael, $500 from Andrew Petroleum, Kenzie Jean Court, Carter Jean Court, Kaylee Jean Court, Kristen Jean Court, $50 from Jeff Delkey for the Clipper Clays, $250 from Tina Jenner John for Clipper Clays, 100,000, or excuse me, 100,000 from Sturgeon Bay PTO for the 4th grade Madison field trip. Yeah, it was 100,000. They could buy wherever they were going, but anyway, $750 from Sturgeon Bay PTO for the 5th grade Rock Island trip. $100 from Amy Demeter and John Larson for families with lunch balances who are struggling. Thank you to everyone associated with providing the support to our district and young people. We have some resignations here. Teresa Rebecca is retiring from her special education teaching position at the middle school at the end of the current school year. Lauren Busco is resigning from her special education teaching position in the middle school at the end of the current school year. A motion to approve the consent agenda as presented is recommended. The motion.
Move to approve. Go ahead, Gene.
Move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
All right, Commissioner Schultz made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and Commissioner Jenner John seconded that. So any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we are to the operations agenda. And first, we have filling the oath of service by newly elected board members.
That's right.
And the polls are out there. Andy has his.
All right.
And Jake's. And are out there and then.
So why don't we have people step forward that are getting sworn in for the next, I'll read the little notes while we're doing that, right? So Andy can come on forward, and Jake and Mike. All right. So I'll just read these notes while we're doing that. The Board of Canvassers met April 7th, 2025. It's a required step that verifies election results. The group's canvass of the results provided to the district did indeed match what was reported by the various offices publicly previously. So the new terms of office officially begin on April 28th, 2025, which you don't realize how that works. That's the 4th Monday in April. Board Clerk Beth Chisholm, all right, is going to administer our oath of office in her final meeting, which is kind of exciting, isn't it? All right, and you want to just grab the sheet for it if you didn't already. For our elected Board of Education members, so that they're officially sworn in prior to their service beginning on April 28th. So we have Jake Schultz, Andy Starr, and Mike Stefani, who will be serving 3-year terms, again, beginning on April 28th and expiring in April of 2029. So congratulations to our newly elected and returning board members. We can give them a quick round of applause. We'll do it the honors, and I'll just take a shot or two here for Facebook while you're doing that.
We'll start with Andrew.
Sounds good.
Can you raise your right hand? I, Andrew Starr, having been elected to the office of the Board of Education,
I, Andrew Starr, having been elected to the Board of Education,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help you God.
so help me God.
Facebook, picture of me in this plaque here too. All right, do your
Doing
thing.
double duty.
That's right.
I, Jacob Schultz,
I, Jacob Schultz,
having been elected to the office of the Board of Education,
having been elected to the office of the Board of Education,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of said office to the best of my ability.
of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. I think you have to.
One more. I think I'll plug in him, that's all right. I know, he's running the meeting tonight, but technically.
I gotta do the
starts, I know.
same thing.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I, Mike Stefani, having been elected to the office of the Board of Education, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
So help you God. I should have read that to you.
Yeah. I gotta do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we gotta
Sign,
sign.
will get your autograph, we just took care of that. This is one of those things while they're doing that real quick, doesn't have to actually be done publicly at a meeting.
Find the right one. Are you on the right one, guys?
Yes,
I just signed for Jake, is that all right?
We traditionally have, which I think is a nice little touch, and
Up where the green is where you sign the elected.
she's signing this. Well, she's doing that, just thanks to everybody for really serving, for those that are leaving and those that are coming aboard and those that are just here. You know, it has impact on your families and everything, and thank you very much for doing this. So, we do good work, I think.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And we will have, just as a reminder to some, I know the city council's on a little different timeline than we are, although they had a meeting last night also. So we'll have the board reorganization meeting, as this board knows, in May. So next month, where we'll go through the officers and all those sorts of things. And I believe, I don't think it's directly related, President Stefani, but you may have another obligation that night. So I think for serving for 20 years of service, I think Vice President Jennerjohn gets to run that meeting that night, I think. Is that how that goes?
It's all that goes.
Right, and I think we also know if we've been a part of a group, what happens sometimes if we're absent for a meeting, we sometimes get volunteered for things. So, I don't know, I work for you fine folks, but we'll see what President Stefani gets volunteered for next.
No kidding. All right, next we're down to appoint a delegate to the CISA 7 annual convention.
Yeah, I can just hit the brief version of these notes, right? As you know, the Board of Education has a statutory duty to appoint a member as its representative for the purpose of determining the composition of the Board of Control. And two, to cause a convention to be convened in accordance with that statutory reference. So our delegate last year to CISA 7 was Allison Haas. Delegate convention is going to be on Wednesday, May 14th, so coming up in about a month, 6:30 p.m. down at the CISA 7 office, which has a brand new parking lot for those that haven't seen it. Very exciting in Green Bay. So really, we're going to be looking for a motion to appoint a representative to the CISA 7 annual convention. Anyone potentially interested in doing it? And then if so, someone can make a motion, or someone can just make a motion if you want to volunteer someone. But usually we have a person or two that says, wow, I think I can pull that off on May the 14th.
I do have it on my calendar, but if somebody else has a burning desire to go, I'm willing to forego my participation.
But if it's on your calendar.
I think that's the giveaway, right?
That is.
I think, President Stefani, someone to make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to nominate Ms. Haas to be our delegate.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Spricka, seconded by Commissioner Cruz to allow Commissioner Haas to be our CISA 7 delegate for the next year. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Go ahead. And we have to, the next point, which we've had numerous conversation about, is approve the professional staff salary ladder for 2025-2026.
Really, we know the next item, as Mike just mentioned, right, this is the one I'll talk through, is related to the one that follows. We just wanted to make sure everything was in proper order. So again, board has heard a number of these things, but for the public, I'll hit on the main points and then summarize the additional context I prepared. Right, so as we know, the professional staff salary letter is Appendix A of the Professional Staff and Salary Supplemental Pay Guide, which typically receives a first reading in the May regular school board meeting and then the second reading / approval in the June regular meeting. However, we, right, kind of as the administration, and then me really as your employee, thought it was important to have the board approve the updated ladder in tonight's operations agenda prior to approving the returning teacher contracts, which we know is in the next agenda item. So for 2025-2026, we recommend having returning staff members move up 2 ladder rungs from their 24-25 ladder placement. And along with that kind of double movement, it's also that we're looking to move that bottom rung of the salary ladder to 43,472 from the current 40,000. Again, I know the board has heard about this many times. Even though we're waiting on the biennial state budget and early indications that it may not be finalized for quite a while, perhaps not even until September, which provides us a number of challenges, we feel the district is able to afford the increase for their teacher group due to a combination of factors involving staff vacancies, elimination of 1.5 professional staff positions through attrition, which, as we shared with the board, will probably end up beyond 1.5, but that was a key piece of what we needed. Some internal movement and also some fairly minor modifications to health insurance plan offerings for next year. The next section, and I won't read every word of this, but again, for anyone listening today or watching the recording later, additional context as we remember the past, right, is this section and the one, just a little bit of context looking ahead. So I'll summarize this. So as I say in that first sentence, we're not going to get into all the pertinent history going back 11 years, right, during the current system, but really there were a few different things that I'll just summarize. So we know our current professional staff compensation plan really was approved first on May 20th, 2015. We know that we've updated it a few times in the 18-19 or for the 18-19 school year. We made some changes to the ladder. Third bullet point, again, just moving along for the 19-20 school year, the ladder again was updated, as well as we did some adjustments for folks we kind of call that proximity to base over the years, right? That would be adjusted by having to increase the beginning teacher salary. And the last bullet point in the kind of looking to the past, we know that we made some changes in April of 2022, granting some additional compensation. And then it was really for the 2022-2023 school year that the starting salary amount became $40,000 after being right below $30,000 just a decade ago. Now, looking ahead, I just have 2 bullet points here. I'll go into this just a little bit more. We know, as we've discussed, probably for next year, especially once we know more from the biennial state budget, that we'd be looking to move that beginning salary rung again into probably that $45,000 range. But again, we need to know what kind of fiscal support we're looking at from the state before we're able to commit to that, which is why we're recommending that 2-step or 2-prong approach as we've discussed. So really, action tonight is one thing, and then to make those other changes, one pathway would be to look at that again a year from now, April of 2026, as we look at the 26-27 school / fiscal year. Theoretically, though, some things could happen with the state budget where maybe we could take action really even earlier if desired, not that we would need to, because we know looking back to the spring of 2022, there were changes, as well as the fall of 2023, which of course aligns with the last biennial state budget. So we'll keep the group updated as we get more information on the state budget. And then really that last bullet point, I don't think it's where the group is at, as you see in my notes and I've heard from me before, but like if we ever get to the point, right, a couple of years from now, a couple of decades from now, where between the board, administration, especially the teacher reps we meet with each year, that we feel like the ladder, even updating it, isn't possible, It's possible some districts basically completely get rid of the ladder and go with, a different type of approach. Probably a little closer to what we do with our non-teacher employee group. So always possible, not saying that's where we need to be now or that most folks are ready for it. But lately I've been trying to remind a few folks that there's always an option to go a completely different direction if at some point in the future, the district wants to do that. So that's enough on the notes. I'll finish the last sentence and then we can see what you have. A motion to approve the professional staff salary ladder for 2025-2026 as presented is recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional staff salary letter for 2025-2026 as presented is.
We have a motion by Commissioner Meyer and seconded by Commissioner Hawes to approve the salary 2025 salary ladder 2025-2026. Further discussion on this? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then we are down to approve individual contracts for returning teachers.
Yes, again, as the board knows, but as a review for people that don't deal with this that often, state of Wisconsin requires returning teacher contracts to be issued by May 15th of each school year. Noted in budget preparation for this year, recent school board learning sessions, and our previous agenda item, looking at modifying the salary ladder. It means that returning teachers would move up, as was just approved, the two salary ladders, or two salary rungs, excuse me, rather than one is typically the case. Also, I touch on the following annual reminders just to kind of help everyone understand what this deals with or not. The first, returning teachers are teachers who are not retiring or resigning at the mid or end of the school year. Returning teachers are not teachers whose position are not continuing next year, either because of being a temporary position or because the position is being eliminated. Number three, sorry, the end got cut off. Returning teachers are not teachers who are being considered for the potential for preliminary notice of non-renewal. And fourth, additionally, as the board has discussed in the past, a teacher on a plan of assistance does not move up the salary ladder, but remains at the same rung as the current year. Just a quick reminder, sometimes people wonder that aren't used to the cycle. Remember, the board typically approves compensation for non-teaching staff member groups in May after we've addressed our primary employee group, the teachers, this month of April. So a motion to approve individual contracts for all returning teachers as presented is recommended.
I'll move to approve individual contracts for all returning teachers as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hawes, seconded by Commissioner Chisholm to approve individual contracts for all returning teachers as presented. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Down to approving a high school head football coach.
Yeah, we actually have a connection with the two agenda items, although the positions technically are separate. That's why they're listed this way. So we have a head football coach recommendation. The board's well aware that we've had kind of a journey over the last few years with different changes and the timing of some of that. So I'll go to the notes here. So Principal Nerby and Athletic Director Dupuy recommend Matthew Landers as our next high school head football coach. Matt had been the head coach at Williams Bay High School the past 2 seasons and was an assistant prior to that. Motion to approve Matthew Landers as our high school head football coach beginning with the 2025-2026 school year is recommended.
I move to approve Matthew Landers as the high school head football coach beginning with the 25-26 school year.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Schultz to approve Matthew Landers as the high school head football coach beginning with the 2025-2026 school year. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now down to approving a middle school special education teacher.
Yes, thank you. Principal Mark Smullen and Director of Special Education and Pupil Services Lindsay Ferry and the interview committee have selected Matthew Landers as our new TJ Walker special education teacher to replace Brittany Rickerson. Mr. Landers taught for a year as a special education teacher, another as an adaptive physical education teacher, and worked earlier, prior to that, as a teacher associate. He's a University of Wisconsin Platteville graduate and majored in physical education and health. Mr. Landers' co-teacher shared that Matt, quote, always steps up to the plate when needed, end quote. His associate principal added, quote, Mr. Landers does an exceptional job building relationships with students. This is one of his strongest traits as an educator, end quote. So a motion to approve Matthew Landers as a middle school special education teacher beginning with the 2025-2026 school year is recommended.
I'll move to approve Matthew Landers as a middle school special education teacher beginning with the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Schultz, second by Commissioner Generjon to approve Matthew Landers as a middle school special education teacher beginning with the 2025-2026 school year. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried for Matthew Landers. Probably should reverse that and actually
I know.
have the teacher.
That's why I mentioned that they're really connected.
Yeah, could you imagine if we approved the, they're not approved as a teacher? Wait, sorry, a little humor here for
And
anyone
some-
watching outside.
Well, and some of us have done this a long time. Remember the days of when someone was hired and some of those extra duties, coaching, forensic, whatever the case happens to be, doing the musical, were basically added right to the teacher contract, right?
Yeah.
So that has changed over years for a variety of reasons. But yeah, once upon a time, that definitely would have been done.
I totally kid.
Yeah, I know. Kind of for fun, it's nice to throw that out.
Exactly. Now next approval of social work.
Yeah, really, that one will bump to next month. So
Yeah.
we've got good things in motion there. You've heard from Director Ferry on that. No really current departure from the game plan, but a few more details are getting worked out next week before we bring that to you for formal consideration.
And then we have a approval of associate position, special education.
Yeah, we have one TA position for us tonight. Director of Special Education Pupil Services, Lindsay Ferry, and Principal Katie DeVillers are pleased to welcome Jenny Hull for a special education teacher associate position over at Sawyer Elementary School for the remainder of this current school year. Jenny comes to the position with experience working at Sawyer as a TA in the Safe Harbor program 2 years. Also worked in the local daycare setting as an assistant teacher. Jenny's greatest strengths are her patience and willingness to support all students in the most compassionate way possible. Very excited to welcome back Jenny to serve special education students over at Sawyer. So a motion to approve Jenny Hall as a special education teacher associate at Sawyer School is recommended.
I move to approve Jenny Hall as a special education teacher associate at Sawyer School.
Second. Oh, never. All right, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Hawes, second by Commissioner Howard to approve Jenny Hall as a special education teacher associate at Sawyer School. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jenny Hall has been ratified. Now we're down to point 10, which is Neola policy review. This is the initial review of 34.1.
Yeah, so we've got this batch from that series, again, first reading, right? And as we know, the second reading goes into consent agenda next month, unless there be one in particular that Mrs. Demise or I would get more info on, or if someone had a question like we've done in the past. So I'll do my best to make this as painless as possible. And I'll just say now, again, thank you, Mrs. Demise, for assisting this. So I don't have to spend all the time that I once did on this, doing this all by myself. So thank you. And our Neola rep Jean has always been very responsive too. Under policy 1100 district organization, this is revised. I'll focus, just as I usually try to keep this moving for people, on a few phrases. Really, here's some optional language regarding consultants that has been moved to new policy 8125 consultants. That's where that revision comes from. Moving on, we see same basic policy, but three different aspects, the 1000, 3000, and 4000 series. So those numbers are 1130, 3230, 4230. This really deals with incorporating restrictions on the supervision of a relative, and also including options involving outside employment or consulting. Next up, policy 1241, which is non-renewal or termination of the district administrator's contract. This is the revision, where we looked at really more accurately reflecting The content specifically referencing the non-renewal or termination of the district administrator and how that would work. In addition, policy was modified to incorporate language consistent with the non-renewal statute and references policy 3140 as applicable to other administrators. I think maybe it's worth pausing, because sometimes we always say it's entertaining working on some of these, not as awkward as sometimes people think, right? And we check with legal, and then we check with President Stefani, right? Rather than just Ann and me updating something that deals with a person, say, in my position. Policy 2210, curriculum development revised. This really deals with removing language that's part of the educational outcome goals and expectations that's already in section 118.01 of Wisconsin statutes and not the curriculum standard. PI 8 of the administrative code. So that revision there. Next, letter E, policy 2270, religion in the curriculum revised. Again, religion in the curriculum, a revised policy. This is revised to add legal citations and to reflect the annual notice required in the law. F, policy 227101, which is entitled Start College Now program, another revision. This was updated to reflect that in addition to the tuition cost, the law requires the district to pay costs of course fees and books to the same extent that a student who is attending the technical college would be charged. The next two, instead of revisions, really are rejections. Policy 2416, student privacy and parental access to information, and policy 244001, summer or intern school attendance, that just really are necessary with the policy batch we have. Policy 2464, advanced learning instruction, or some of us might call that gifted and talented over the years. See this as a replacement policy as opposed to revision, and really includes new provisions, jumping down to that second sentence, based on state statutory language and administrative regulations from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. And maybe I'll just pause and say, well, we don't have what was entitled the same type of gifted and talented program as, say, 20 years ago. In case you're wondering, do we still have something? We still have something for students. Yes, there's different ways that the schools work through that. We have someone like district librarian. In fact, we were just, the admin team, we were looking over stipends in this morning's meeting, a part of our usual April process. And then she does some things district-wide, working with kids and families and teachers at the different levels to provide additional kind of quote unquote gifted and talented services. So as I'm turning the page, I just thought you might find that interesting, that some of that certainly still does exist. Policy, next up, letter J, excuse me, policy 3214 and 4214 deals with staff gifts. This is a replacement policy. We see that's updated and restructured to present the more common scenarios involving gifts to or from staff. Policy 3281, again, not necessary rejection for us. Personal property of staff members, right? We know people have personal property, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need a board policy on that. Next, L, policy 4124, reasonable, a notice of reasonable assurance of employment revised. This language really is modified to be more consistent with state statute. In essence, for the board, a quick reminder. So through our principal director level, for some of our hourly staff, we need to issue them some sort of notice, right? A reasonable assurance that they have employment with us next year. They don't get a contract like maybe a teacher does. But yes, they have an assurance that there is work for them that is similar to the work they're doing now, unless we tell them otherwise. Policy 5113, open enrollment program revision, really deals with reviewing special education student IPs to determine both space and service availability. We've talked about this every year, especially in December and January with open enrollment. So in essence, we've been doing this. And policy 5330, administration of medication emergency care. Really, this deals with, you see the act references and so forth. I don't need to read all that. To have the available use of bronchodilatators, if I said that right or not, but that's close. Right, dilators, yeah, that too, provided by prescription to the school. So there are some things about what can and cannot occur. Again, a reminder, we do have staff that are trained in these types of things. And as you know, we employ a school nurse directly through the district now as well. The next one really rescinding emergency medical authorization policy 5341. Again, it says rescinding this is recommended to avoid confusion and duplication, since there are certain things that are in essence covered elsewhere. Policy 5512, letter P, use of tobacco and nicotine by students. Again, a revision. I'm gonna jump all the way down to the last sentence, really. It's really what's been added is more descriptive policy position to promote respect for Native American ceremonial tobacco usage. As opposed to when some of us, like in our young assistant principal days, were looking for packs of cigarettes at school, right? So very different, but there's a reference. Is C letter Q, policy 5611, due process rights. Again, something in essence that can be rescinded, as with our policy 5710, student complaints. Again, not necessary for the different reasons described there, which I'm not all going to go into right now. Letter S, policy 6231, budget implementation. Again, a revision. That was done to clarify language regarding fund balance expenditures consistent with current practices. Right, the district has talked a lot over the years, and the board does every year about fund balance, really what it is versus what it isn't. Relates to the next policy, letter T, policy 6235, fund balance, again revised, updated to include additional rationale and options as we look at the management of fund balance. Letter U, policy 6620, petty cash revision, basically was simplified and provides an option for a petty cash fund limit. Letter B, policy 7410, maintenance, another revision. Terminology in the policy was just updated. Letter W, policy 7430, safety standards, another revision to clarify what information is required to be reported to the board under this type of safety standards language. Letter X, policy 7440, facility security. This was revised to clarify law enforcement contact and remove some of the optional language that was there. Letter Y, policy 744002, smart sensor and monitoring technology, another revision, really looking to better describe the current technology. As we know, technology things are updating rapidly. Letter Z deals with policies 754003 and 754004, dealing with student technology acceptable use and safety. We see there are revisions here to reflect the new requirements by the FCC and a district acceptable use policy. These changes are recommended for legal compliance if we receive federal E-rate funds through the Universal Service Program. Letter AA, policy 754007, district issues student email. We see this was revised to include some language regarding the use of district issued email addresses and other media accounts that we know, right? Our students here do have district email accounts. Letter BB, policy 8120, volunteers, revised to regarding volunteer background checks and statutory requirements to conduct background checks on a board member as well who volunteers. Letter CC, this is a rejection dealing with consultants, policy 8125, right? We have other ways we can manage utilizing consultants when necessary. Letter DD, policy 8305, information security, another revision involving additional language regarding limitations on the public discussion of cyber security measures. EE, coming down the home stretch here, policy 8395, student mental and physical health services. This is a revision to reflect the provision of both mental and physical health services in school, right? Also updated to better reflect the option for arrangements for on-site health services provided by outside agencies, right? We know we partnered with the hospital and we partnered with the partnership that allows students and families to have access with all the proper clearance mental health services right in school campuses, thanks to that community partnership. Next, letter FF, policy 8531, free and reduced price meals, a revision allowing for circumstances where the district may have one or more of its schools qualify for that CEP program when others do not. Again, CEP stands for Community Eligibility Provision, by the way. I know we throw a lot of acronyms at you. And finally, for now, letter GG, policy 8600, transportation. Again, the transportation policy comes up pretty regularly. This is revised to clarify transportation obligations for a student with a disability as defined in their IEP or individualized education plan. And again, this is something that certainly our district through our special ed services already does. Those are the first readings for us tonight, President Stefan.
Thank you. Next, that brings us down to reports. So, did I see this one?
He's the other side of the post.
Oh, the post is blocking. Couldn't see you. Sorry, sir. So we got starting with the high school. What's happening?
All right, good evening.
All right, just a few quick things to share. First, I want to publicly congratulate Heidi Hintz. Mrs. Hintz, some of you may have heard or seen, was recognized as a Cole Fellowship teacher this school year. There's only 100 teachers in the state of Wisconsin recognized this year, and Heidi was one of them. She has done a phenomenal job, and today we did a little celebration with the staff to congratulate her and thank her for all she does every day for our students and our community, and puts on such an amazing opportunity for our kids and shows. So wanted to shout out to Mrs. Hintz for that.
And it sounds like the surprise was successful.
It was, yes, we did it's hard to get an entire staff to come together and surprise one staff member with a potluck lunch, but it worked and she was surprised and that was fun. So yeah, it was a good time. So we enjoyed that. Other news, we finished up state testing today. Many of you know we had our forward testing last week for our sophomore students. And then we had our ACT for all juniors last week. Today, pre-ACT for all freshmen and sophomore students. And we made it through it. And we threw prom right in the middle of all of that as well on Saturday. So we just like to throw it all together in 2 weeks. But it was a lot of fun. Kids did talking to kids, they feel that they did pretty well. We'll see. I'll share that data within the next couple of weeks with everyone. As you know, that's been a huge focus on the work we've been doing is to try and help students prepare for that. And we use that data in our daily interactions with students. We really try to break that down into what we're doing, what students need, how we can best support them. So we got through it all today. And then finally, I just want to invite all of the board members and anyone listening. Pippin, our high school musical, is coming up next weekend. So the 24th, 25th, and 26th, we have performances and shows going on. Our students have been working for the last several months on doing this, and we're really excited because our director and our choreographer are all professionals who work in theater here in Door County. So it's a pretty neat experience for our kids to be working with professional directors and choreographers and that. So excited for that show. So come out and see it. It's going to be great. We're also offering a tour of the auditorium in between the shows on Saturday for anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about that auditorium work we're doing. So come on and take a tour of our current space between the plays. So what I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just three brief things. Clipper Clays has a big fundraiser coming up this Friday. Hope you can check it out. That's over at the Rod and Gun Club. Please check that out over. We have over 58 students in that program. They've served over 300 meals last time. It's a wonderful event. Many parents and students involved. So Friday night, check that out. They also have chicken nuggets as an option too. If you have any questions. And the fish has been donated, and they're just a wonderful opportunity. Secondly, partnership with our STEM classes are going over to the YMCA. Build a regatta. It's a pretty cool thing. A few kids did this last year. Had a wonderful time going in the pool. They get their obviously getting their stuff together. You're gonna like this. A lot of good pictures coming out of that. Finally, just gonna be real brief. You saw in our social media postings, looking for a couple additional job opportunities that are going on in the district. Really looking for one here not just from my lens, from everybody's lens. We have over 80+ EL kids. We're looking for an ELL coordinator. If you see this, share it, pass it along, trying to find the right person to come on in and work with our staff, help grow our skills and differentiating, working with students. This is a big time hire. It's going to make a big difference in our school district. So pass that on, please. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Well, Miss Principal, Mrs. Smollen's coming on down. If you show up to the Rod and Gun Club on Friday for the Clipper Clays fundraiser that Mark just mentioned, if you choose to park on the property and eat inside, you may get assistance being parked from Chief Henry and myself, Superintendent Chernock. So they usually give us that duty to help with the parking. I don't know why we get that, but we do. Otherwise, if you're just driving through, you still might see both of us and many other volunteer members.
You gave us a meal last year.
Here we go.
I'm pretty sure. So we are also similar to the high school. We're wrapping up testing and third grade wrapped up today. They celebrated with an extra recess in the sun. It was momentous. They were so excited and happy. Fourth and fifth grade continue chipping away at their tests. One program I wanted to highlight, it's like spring, it's the Sunrise Explorers. So one of our staff members, Bobby Degendorf, brings a group of fifth graders out to Crossroads. They find critters, they watch the suckers run, they build land bridges, they just get dirty and learn a lot. And it's just great. So I'm happy that we continue to do that every year. And that is really what we're doing. We are a lot of learning, a little bit of testing, getting ready for end of year, summer school, and next year. So this is the busy time of the year. So summer school closes, registration the 21st. Right now it's open to all Door County students. So we have a lot of Sturgeon-based students signed up and some non-Sturgeon-based students, which is great. Come on. Great program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smullen. Principal DeVillers is working her way to the podium, walking from all the way on the other side of the bay. Well, maybe not that far, just the back of the.
Often, but not today.
That's right.
Hi, everybody. It's that interesting time of year where we're thinking about being present right now. We're thinking about what we need to finish up. And then, of course, we're thinking about the future. And so I just want to share a couple of things that relate to that. One is I'm working with Katie Smolin over at Sunrise to align some special schedules and share resources and staff. Very excited about how that's working and how it's coming. I really want to thank some of our specialists, Holly Selly, Cheryl Feaster, Lauren Curtin, and Megan Jane publicly for their work on that. And looking forward to sharing resources and making sure that we have kids in front of people and like Cheryl teaching 4K through second grade music and being with kids that whole time. Same with Megan, same with for art, and same with Lauren for FIAD. So very excited about that work and happy to work with Katie on that. The other thing, really, I have a visual. I usually don't. I have a visual tonight. Future Clippers open house. So we are working really hard to wrap our arms around our new 4K families and get more of them, right? And so we are doing a number of things actually, but the newest is an open house and it is happening on May 8th. And it came together really fast and I have some people to thank for it. New families will be able to come and put their children in the spaces that they'll be in, which means a lot for new families. It's such a big transition for them. So kids will explore those learning spaces. There'll be time on the playground. They'll get help with registration. Erin Dawidiak, our great secretary, and Amy Lautenbach will be there. Jenny from food service will be there, I'm sure with some snacks or something to promote that. We will have Mr. Zoller, our EL teacher, there for translation and support. The bus company is bringing a bus and some representatives so we can get those little kids who struggle always with getting on a bus. Our reading, math, and social emotional learning coach and school counselor will be there to answer questions. Our district nurse is coming too. And all these people stepped up to help us to say, really, we need to do a better job in welcoming our 4K kids and giving families that opportunity to be in school. So we're excited to see what happens and we can't wait to see our future Clippers on that day. Yeah.
How are you advertising for this event?
All over. Everything went home in folders. I was just typing up my family newsletter. It's been out on social media. I hit the pavement with the help of some of the administrators and put things up all over. So
Can you put one at the daycare? 'Cause I don't
yes,
think I've
there might
seen
be one. You haven't. Okay,
No,
I
and
will.
was talking to some parents who don't have kids in the school yet, and they
Yeah.
were like, how do we know how to get to this, like, how do we get our
Okay.
kids to school?
Okay,
Yes,
we will.
Yeah, so.
And Head Start has one too. We also have been promoting our teddy bear camp, which you may have remembered me talking about last year, but this year we just piloted and tried it last year, but that's another opportunity for them to come. It's being run during summer school this time, and so those flyers have been up all over. So daycare will double check on that. Thanks for letting me know.
Maybe run it in a newspaper?
Sure, we can sure do that. Yeah.
Maybe.
This May 8th is coming up really quick, so we didn't have as much time on that. Had to throw it together a little quicker than what we thought, but for sure teddy bear camp and summer schools, but it's been advertised, so we can also look at that. Yeah, anything else? Good.
Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Last the night, but we promise to have lots of information in May.
There we go, Directors Ferry and Weber passing on their time. Business Manager Holtz, what do you got?
Before I head on what I sent earlier today, my original, updates, I'm going to Green Bay tomorrow to, a Baird Open Gym is what they call it. They'll present a little bit on the state budget. I'm not expecting anything earth shattering there, but also gonna talk to them about, their financial planning, school financial planning, software. And see if that would be a good fit to essentially go back to them from what we've been using as Forecast 5 over the last few years. Year-end projections, I sent that earlier today. Looking at a year-end surplus, still kind of waiting to see, though with the food service where that's gonna land, because that could affect some of it. But you can see my commentary there. Let me know if you have any questions off of that.
The little snippets for food service you shared with me today, is it too early for that, just as an example, or is that kind of?
Yeah, the first part, I can share this.
Interesting.
So in talking with Mrs. Spooty about how we can share our story. I don't know inherently how it might problem solve, but shares the story. What's this food, what's a meal cost? Today versus say 3 or 5 years ago. If we can pick a meal that's a staple, looking at French toast sticks, meal. So that's not just French toast sticks, that you can find myself and my children eating just French toast sticks and bacon. But it includes fruits, veggies as part of the meal. The cost of that has gone up 36% from 2018-19 to today. Not terribly shocking, I think, as we look at our own grocery bills, but putting a number on it, I think is important. I think the next step is looking at meal reimbursements, free reduced meal prices, etc. To help share that part of the story as well. So.
We're in Wisconsin, a dairy state. No, we're not gonna argue about California, right? But this was an interesting one you shared with me today as well.
Yeah, so milk prices from, again, that I have it up here. From 1920 to today, have gone from 22.31 cents to 35.5 cents per pint, which is a over 50% jump as well for milk.
From 1920?
Sorry, hold on.
School year.
2019, 2020.
That's expensive milk, thank you.
Yeah,
Right?
I knew someone was gonna.
I was thinking.
Do we have records of that?
It was the door-to-door service back in the day.
Metal. Sorry. Cough and chuckle, unrelated. Anyone a question for Jake while I take one more sip of water before finishing this off, quick?
Obviously, you'll keep us in the loop.
Yeah, I was planning on putting some of this together too for our learning session. Yeah, again, inherently. Not problem solving, but I think people hear that, that's a good story to hear and share, so.
Yeah, well, I think kind of wrapping that up and then I'll just hit on my few highlights. I think we always talk, right? There's the hard numbers, then there's the story behind it. Right, why it is, why it isn't. And I think they're trying to, Jake and Jenny are working on, okay, what's changing, right? Whether the stuff we see in the news or just federal costs or federal level and all this stuff, how do you kind of like, all right, what is the cost of a school meal and how do we kind of approach that? We know we have interested folks in the community that have been great about trying to troubleshoot, provide funds, whatever. What does that look like? We'll see. For my report, just teaching, learning one item, just very briefly, we'll continue to engage. 2 Fridays ago, Representative Kitchens was one of a few legislators that were at our meeting, like roughly every other month when the superintendent's meeting in Green Bay. We have legislators on both sides of the aisle, as both assembly and state senators that come in to engage in dialogue with us. So not a lot of solutions. But certainly the state budget was a big part of that and some of the politics behind it, which we can all say is frustrating, but I gotta figure it out. Community engagement, I'll just touch on, the auditorium. Keith mentioned it, so I won't repeat that. But Keith, as well as Jason Palmer and Mary Nickel, gave a really nice presentation at New Rotary, very recently. And I believe Keith, breakfast Rotary just yesterday morning, keeping my day straight, right? Right, so working on, just helping them, align with some of those groups as they're, sharing the word, not only with those, individuals, right, that are part of those service clubs, but the different people they know to share the word and see if there are folks that are interested in becoming involved. Clipper Connection newsletter, mentioned it briefly in the email I think I sent you yesterday, but we're basically working with the Pulse. That should be, I think, finalized as of today, that meeting, so I haven't looked at a lot of email, but that hopefully will be out in the Pulse as early as this weekend. So some neat information. And again, thanks to everyone who's involved with writing content, getting content, proofreading, and working with the Pulse team on that, which is cool. So excited about that. And then remember, the plan is to have another issue ready to go where we can have the content pulled together before people break for summer, even though it won't go out to the public until sometime in the summer. Next and last category, finance facilities operations. We did have a Sturgeon Bay kind of recreational facility meeting on April 8th. The short version there is the consultants know they're getting very close and they owe all of us that put money into that a feasibility study on not just the part across the street here owned by the city and us, and what is hopefully a first phase between city dollars and some additional fundraised dollars, but also the bigger one that's, I think, really delayed the feasibility study, not as a criticism, but just the reality, right? If people around the county are going to engage in the conversation of, could there be an indoor facility somewhere? And what could that look like? And how can that be built? And how can it be run, right? That's a little more involved, right? Our focus, as Mike and I have attended some of those meetings in person via Zoom, has kind of been in working with the city on the piece across the street, obviously. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have that feasibility study very soon. And then last on the communications and marketing, it's not lost on us. Brian Nickel from the Donovan Group has gotten the document to Jake and me, but admittedly that's been waiting behind some other things as far as some things we can do in the coming months on that effort that we talked about again, a number of times, including at the board retreat in February. So I do have something from them. It just hasn't gotten attention from me. Yeah, I think that's enough. I don't need to hit on anything else as we get ready to wrap up and then go to closed session about the Herbie Hauser.
Do I have a motion to go into closed session? Noting that, well, noting that it's roll call, noting that there's the whole thing.
Yeah, just, noting
All right,
why that
noting
is, and then, yeah.
Wisconsin statute section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. We will review of staff evaluations for nomination of a 2025 Herbie Hauser Award, and then we will return to open session following the closed session. If action is taken, the board president can simply state that action was taken consistent with the purpose for closed session. So do I have a motion as presented?
I'll move to go to closed session, have a roll call vote for Wisconsin Stat Section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. And review of staff evaluations for nomination of the 2025 Herbie Hauser Award. Afterwards, we will return to open session.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to move into closed session. Reminder, this will be a roll call vote and as presented. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 No. Roll call.
Roll call, so sorry.
All right, Commissioner Meyer?
Here.
Yes.
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 Or no?
Yes, sorry.
Commissioner Hawes?
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Jennerjohn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
And Commissioner Spritka?
Yes.